All right, guys, welcome back to another video. Like I said, I was doing before in the previous video. Today we will be discussing USB and Thunderbolt hubs. So straight into it here. We got here a ThinkPad, the AN40, the Thunderbolt 3 Generation 2 dock. This one comes with a ThinkPad E14, if I remember correctly, which we will actually review later. So just a quick little channel update. Getting a lot of requests from my clients saying that they're looking into podcasts, that they're going to start streaming, that they're going to start, music production, video production, and they want to know what equipment to go through. And I will be covering a few. I'm going to be starting with these docks and hubs, because one, we kind of need a place to plug into all our stuff. I'm going to go into the iPad Pro, specifically the second gen, which is the 2020 model, into more in depth, because it's actually lately been the centerpiece of my editing production for all these videos. I finally have a new editing software called LumaFusion, specifically for the iPad. We will discuss the software as well. We will also be talking about microphones. I have a microphone that I like very, very well. And we will be continuing as well as the laptops and the computers as well. I have an E14 here that came with this that we will be discussing as well. Again, I'm not sponsored, I'm not endorsed, I'm not compensated for any of this. I so happen to come across one of these because some client of mine needed a computer to be looked at, and they brought it as part of this. So without further ado, we'll get into it. So this is the top. It's not plugged in here, but this is a power button. It's orange when it's off, white when it's on. The little eye and ThinkPad will glow when it is on. So up in front, we have a USB 3.1, I believe, which is the super speed. We have a Thunderbolt USB-C. So the nice thing about Thunderbolt is you can daisy chain them. So you can have, another one of these, and just plug in this Thunderbolt to the other Thunderbolt, and you will have more Thunderbolt ports. And one of the things I like about Thunderbolt, which is to me the true replacement for FireWire, one of the many things I like about FireWire, is you can daisy chain them, unlike USB, where you need a hub. And as an example here, this is what a hub is. I'll get more into detail on later, where you have to plug this into the host, which is your computer, and then you get extras. And in order to get more extras, you have to plug in another hub and then connect to that. And then it's a lot neater. This one is what they call a host style connection, where you need a host to run things. But here's peer-to-peer, so they can plug into things, side by side. I'll have a picture of a FireWire port and a picture of daisy chaining. I've actually done daisy chaining before about DisplayPort. I'll leave a picture or a video link somewhere in maybe this corner, but further on, we'll talk about this later in a minute. It's one of the downsides of what I think is this Thunderbolt dock here. At the bottom, it's just the typical black and red, all your labeling and stuff. So the back is where the business is. We have either a 230 170 watt or a 135 65 watt input. So this is actually really nice. For some reason, they had to split between the two. I don't think you can connect both of them at the same time, and you have to plug in the right one. If you try to plug in the 230 into here, it won't work, and vice versa. So here, we also have another form of power here for the other style. Some of the older ThinkPads use this barrel connector, and that's what that is for. So here, 230 watts is quite impressive. Not only does it power this, it'll power your laptop, which you plug in here through the Thunderbolt port here, which is Thunderbolt 3, which is the picture of the lightning bolt and the computer. And it'll allow you to charge your laptop while you're using it, and charge it extremely fast if you use the 230. This one came with the 135, which is still plenty fast, especially on the E14, which is only a 14-inch laptop with a Core i3 processor. You know, not very high spec, but you know, it is a good computer in its own right if you use it for the right situations. So we have a total of 4 extra 3.1 super speed ports. This one with the battery symbol means you can plug in with power delivery for charging stuff. We have a Ethernet port, gigabit. We have 2 HDMIs and 2 display ports, so you can have a total of 4 displays if your computer supports that. And then we have our Thunderbolt port up front here, up back here, which is where you plug in your computer. So the Thunderbolt cable will go from your computer to here. This also works in a USB 3 as a USB 3 hub. So it works both ways, as a dock and as a hub. So, and the reason why I know that is because I used this as a test for my iPad. And in fact, I am going to purchase, not this one, but I'm going to purchase another one once my MacBook Pro finally comes in. It's been a while now. It's a lot of delays getting one. But I will leave a photo of it in the screen to show you that why this is amazing. Because with one cable, we can not only charge our device, we can power other devices, and we can connect a bunch of peripherals to it. Like in the photo, you'll see I have a mouse, I have a keyboard, I have the Ethernet, which you don't see in the photo because it's behind a monitor, and you know, my kind of messy desk. I've been a little busy lately, but not been able to take care of it lately. You'll see the hub that I showed you earlier on top of it as well. And this is sitting on top of an M Audio Profire 610. Very old device, but still very useful. I may do a review on that one, but you know, again, it's so old. It uses FireWire. I actually had to buy a FireWire card for my computer just for it to work, but nonetheless, still very good. If you guys really want me to do a review on that, I will do a review if so requested. And then up front here, we have one time more, our super speed, our Thunderbolt, you know, connection / pass through. I've seen a lot of people in offices, they have these where they give, where the company gives their employees laptops. They'll give them one of these as well when they work from home, so they can, you know, plug in all their monitors. And a lot of people, what I see them do is, since a lot of iPhones come with the USB-C charger, they'll plug in their USB-C charger here, and it will actually do power delivery as well. So you'll get your iPhone charged up nice and fast. And finally up here, I don't think I mentioned it before, we have the combination microphone headphone jack. So this is actually pretty cool, but for the price it goes for, not that great. So this one is $319 at Best Buy as of today, which is March 15th, 2022. This video will be posted Friday, so you know, because it takes me a little bit to edit this, you know, and do some stuff, so I had to squeeze in the recording here a little bit. And then finally on the side here, we got our Kensington lock, so if you want to lock it down to prevent it from getting stolen. $319 for this. Spend a little bit more, around $350. In fact, I've even seen some for $300 or even $250, where they have a whole lot more ports, a whole lot more USB ports, most definitely. And most importantly, if you're going to be spending $320 on something, I want something like this, in my opinion. So this is a USB-C hub. It uses USB-C the 3.0, and it splits it off into different card readers. So as you see, we have a CF card, we have a SD card, we have a micro SD card, and 2 other memory cards. Really aren't used all that much. Has a LED light to blind you at night. This one is a king win. I got it really cheap, you know, but it actually works really well. You don't have to use USB 3.0. You can actually use the 2.0. It has that funky connector like I talked about in the USB, different types of connectors. I will also link that video as well. It uses the micro USB port with the 3.0 extension, and then at the end of that cable is a USB-C cable. You know, you could actually just use a regular, you know, USB-A cable with this cable, or just use the 2.0 and plug it into the 2.0 slot, but you lose all the speed. You know, I got it because I like the speed, you know, when you're trying to move a lot of files a lot. So I don't know why they didn't put it in here. I mean, as you see, you know, there's plenty of space to shove, you know, the cards in. But, you know, for some reason, Lenovo, which makes this, didn't think about it. So, you know, I've been using this on top of it as well for the time that I have it. I've been looking at different ones lately because, you know, in fact, I'm looking at a Thunderbolt 4 one for when I get my MacBook Pro because, these hubs, these docks are generally expensive. You know, getting one for $100, that's not going to happen. Two, with Thunderbolt, I have a Ryzen 7 system, which is a Ryzen 7 3700X system, and this will not work, whether it's the USB dock or the Thunderbolt dock. All right, guys, so doing some post-editing here, I noticed that I had forgot to mention something, and that if you use any USB 3.0 dock that has display capability, like this one works in both 3.0 and Thunderbolt, Dell makes a 3.0 one, and in the same company that had asked me to do this repair, an employee had a Dell Optiplex 7010, the ultra small form factor with a 3rd gen i5, I think it was a 3550, which is 4 cores, 4 threads. He has 10 gigs of 1366 DDR3 RAM, a little on the slow side, and an SSD. So it had Windows 10 Pro that was managed by the company, which could be a factor, which means that there might be processes in the back that may be running that I don't know about. But he was complaining that the when he would load it, when he had the computer under load with, you know, multiple tabs open, you know, multiple programs open, that the display would become jittery. It would, you know, be very slow. You know, the mouse cursor would, you know, you could see it move, you know, incrementally. You know, videos wouldn't, you know, would kind of be skippy. What had happened was since the displays that he had 2 of them, only had HDMI, the computer only had DisplayPort, so he used the dock to display everything, and he had his Ethernet running through it as well as the audio. So USB uses the CPU, so there's a CPU overhead, and what it does is the CPU compresses the video down, which, you know, takes horsepower in order for USB to be able to handle it. So the easy fix was to get the adapters from DisplayPort to HDMI, plug them directly into the graphics port that he had in the back, well, which were basically from the integrated graphics. And the problem was solved, and we also plugged in his Ethernet in the back as well, and the problem was solved. But, you know, it's an example of, you know, if he had a more capable system, like, you know, the i7 3770 with 16 gigs of RAM, even at the slower 1333 megahertz, problem probably wouldn't have happened at all. And even better if he had the full 1600 megahertz RAM. So, you know, if you're going to use it in the 3.0 aspect, you need to have a capable system, because again, USB does require an overhead, and, you know, you need to have a system capable of handling that. So like I said, if you had the i7, probably wouldn't have happened. But, you know, if you are going to use a 3.0 dock, you know, you need to have a newer system that can handle it. So that's all I had to say, and back to the video. You know, it won't work. The computer will not recognize it, and that is a limitation of AMD. AMD does not officially support Thunderbolt because Thunderbolt was a collaboration between Apple and Intel and a couple other companies. That deserves a video in its own right. In theory, you could add a Thunderbolt card to give Thunderbolt connectivity and compatibility to your Ryzen system. One, they're very expensive. Two, they're not guaranteed to work, which is why I normally don't recommend it. If you really, really need Thunderbolt, you have to go with an Intel board and an Intel processor. That's just one of the limitations of AMD. In many ways, I like the AMD system I have. You know, they're very good performance for the budget, but, you know, I regret doing the AMD system a lot more than I regret doing the Intel system. And again, that's a video in of its own right. You know, we will talk about that later. And, you know, another great thing about these is, like, if you have an iPad, you can the iPad will recognize the Ethernet port, and you will see your Wi-Fi symbol go away once this is plugged in, because it'll use Ethernet, and it can use all the speed capable that your internet provider sends you. So definitely, like, when I upload videos from it, it definitely helps out. You know, two, I like to keep as many things off my Wi-Fi as possible, you know, especially if you're that person that values security and doesn't like things connecting wirelessly and likes a good hardline connection. This is the type of thing for you. This is more of a limitation of iPad OS than the iPad itself. So I haven't really tried it yet, but if you just plug in your monitor to this, it'll just mirror what's on your screen of the iPad. It won't give you a second display, but that's more of a limitation of iPad OS than the actual iPad itself. This specific one, the AM40, I've heard is compatible with the new M1 Max. Again, don't have a M1 Mac here to test it out at the moment, but, you know, it is definitely worth a shot. You know, you have to look into it more, but I've read a couple places online that, yes, this does work with the M1 MacBook Pro. So this specific one, again, for $320, I think it's not worth it. The only person I see this is worth it for is, one, if you have a ThinkPad. This was made for ThinkPads, obviously, you know, ThinkPad. But it does work with other computers. You know, it works with an iPad as well. The only reason why I say you want to get one of these is, if you see one at like an amazing price, like dirt cheap, or they're almost giving it away, or you have an employer that's literally handing them out to you so you can do work like this one is. This one, they handed it out to an employee, and the employee was like, hey, you know, my company says, please have this repaired, and they sent me to you, so here I am with it, testing it out. And it's actually really nice, but, you know, for $320, I don't think it's that nice. The only reason why I would say you buy this specific one is because if you need a lot of screens to plug into, and I've been to their office before, and for them it is worth it, because there's this one guy that he has 5 screens. He has 4 plugged in here, and then he has 1 plugged in on the actual computer itself, the laptop itself, and he has that one vertical. So, you know, he actually needs it. But again, he has a higher spec ThinkPad. You know, he has the really fancy one, the Core i7 one. You know, I don't know if the E14 can even supports having 4 monitors. I know it supports having 3, because I saw one employee, he had 2 of these and then using the screen itself. So I can see it handling, you know, 2 external and 1 internal, but I haven't seen an E14 do, you know, 5 yet. You know, when I do the review, I'll look into the spec sheet more and give you a final answer on that one. But, you know, for me, my personal opinion, if you're going to get one of these, it needs to have SD card. It needs to have memory card readers, because memory card readers are very handy, especially at least a micro SD card, at least the SD card, because they sell the SD card adapters that fit in here. So this is actually kind of redundant, but I like this one because it has it, so I don't need to have an adapter on me all the time. But, you know, and, you know, I prefer having lots and lots and lots of USB ports over, you know, 4 display ports. To me, having 2 displays is more than enough for me. But again, everyone's different. So, you know, like in one case it works, which is really the only reason why I'd say you buy this one, is if you have, you know, you need 4 monitors to connect up to for one device. So again, these things are, while they're expensive, they're very, very, very good. They provide a lot of connectivity, especially for people on the go, where their laptop is more on the go than at home, you know, and then they only use it at home for, you know, when they have 5 minutes, they just want to plug it in, top it off, you know, be more comfortable when they do an Excel spreadsheet, something like that, you know. And like I said, there's also USB versions of this. Like, this one will work as a USB as well as since my iPad, which is the 2020, doesn't have Thunderbolt. The only iPad that has Thunderbolt are the M1 equipped iPads, but since mine has the A12Z, it uses the USB-C 10 gigabit version. So Dell also makes another one. I don't have that one, but I've seen them where they have the big USB 3.0 printer port edition of it. Again, it's in my video. And that one also does display output as well. So, and that one's actually really nice because, again, that client that I have has a bunch of them, and a bunch of their employees use it, and it's actually very nice. And it actually works with even the older, since it works on USB, really, you know, anything can work on it. But that's basically it for this video. The next video, I will be talking about the laptop that this came with, which is the E14 from ThinkPad from Lenovo, which to me is actually a very good laptop for the basic person. You know, if you want to just, you know, browse the web and, you know, do some Excel spreadsheets. But thank you very much for watching this video. I hope to see you all in the next one, and I hope you learned something.